My name is Cameron Cole, and this is my video for Dr. Anderson's Pastoral and Social Ethics class. This is August the 26th, 2019, and I am taking the position that gambling of any sort, that Christians should not participate in gambling of any sort. In 2005, my best friend and I decided to go turkey hunting on a whim at his family's property in west central Alabama. They didn't have a house on the property, so we stayed at a friend's house in Tuscaloosa. We got up at 3 a.m. in order to make the 45-minute drive to Demopolis, where we would station ourselves in a blind before the sun came up and the turkeys descended from the trees. As we sped down County Road 208 through Greene County, Alabama, I saw a stunning sight. At 3:30 a.m., the parking lot of the Green Track Dog Track and Video Gambling Casino was completely filled with people. 3:30 a.m. in the morning. Aside from the flashing bright lights of the casino, there was something insidious about this scene. You see, Greene County is one of the 5 poorest counties in the United States. There within the casino were primarily people who lived in desperate poverty, flushing away their precious dollars on an empty, destructive hope. This story is just a sample of the inherent evils entailed in gambling. In the next 10 minutes, I will talk about why gambling in all circumstances is always immoral and always unethical for Christians. I will not limit this talk to just organized gambling, which includes things like casinos, the lottery, and legal sports betting. I will also address informal gambling, like a bet between 2 friends on a football game. First, organized gambling exploits the poor. The Christian Science Monitor reported that up to 80% of gambling revenue comes from households earning less than $50,000 a year. According to a 2013 article in the Times-Union in Albany, New York, casinos draw 4 times more revenue from working class and poor customers than they do from those in upper class settings. In a 2017 Guardian investigation, the newspaper found that betting sites contract companies to harvest the personal information of those in low income settings so they can target the poor in their marketing. A study of gambling treatment programs in Minnesota found that 52% of those in gambling treatment programs came from households making less than $20,000 a year. It is clear that gambling feeds upon the poor and most desperate sectors of the population. The Bible calls for Christians to defend the cause of the poor. Isaiah 1:17 says, "Learn to do right, see that justice is done, help those who are oppressed, give orphans their rights, and defend widows." In Amos, Ezekiel, and Jeremiah, the Lord rebukes his people for standing by and allowing the poor to be oppressed and exploited. Gambling, whether it's casinos, video poker, bingo, or lottery, paints a deceitful, specious picture that it can deliver people from poverty and put them into riches in an instant. In reality, the average casino patron loses $60 per trip to the casino. That's a lot of money for a person in a poor or working class situation. The odds of winning the lottery are approximately 1 in 292 million. Not only should Christians not participate in organized gambling, they should oppose it and they should advocate against it. To participate in organized gambling at any level is to support and sustain an inherently unjust system that preys on people in desperate situations. It is to proliferate injustice rather than to oppose it, as the Bible calls us to do. Now, one may ask, what about private gambling? Making a friendly wager on a soccer match or a basketball game, or to play poker for money amongst friends? Well, gambling inherently reinforces an unbiblical attitude towards money. Proverbs often teaches about the importance of industry, patience, and wisdom in generating income. In Proverbs 6, verses 6 through 11, the teacher says, Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Without having any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in summer and gathers her food in harvest. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come upon you like a robber, and want like an armed man. The ant in this text is metaphorically extolled as the righteous paradigm for gaining income and wealth. The ant works steadily and stores up over time. His approach to earning money is patience, diligence, and methodical. Again, in Proverbs 10, verses 4 through 5, it says, "A slack hand causes poverty, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. He who gathers in summer is a prudent son, but he who sleeps in harvest is a son who brings shame." The person who gambles for money could be described as the slack hand, as described in verse 10:4. Rather than relying on hard work over time and trusting in God's provision, a person who gambles for money is relying on chance. They are looking for an easy, quick money in a manner that conflicts with the Bible's mentality towards finances. Gambling is comparable to pornography. Both sex and money are good but powerful gifts from God. As a result, Scripture prescribes sacrifice, patience, and commitment to accompany gaining these gifts. Pornography creates the illusion that a person can have sex and intimacy without commitment, sacrifice, or patience. The use of pornography offers a rush because a person enters into a temporary experience that creates the false notion that says, I can have this gift on my own terms and without the commitments that God requires. Gambling is similar. It creates a sensation that with the roll of the dice or with the right hand, a person can gain money without sacrifice, patience, and commitment that the Bible directs us to have. People will say that it's no different than going to the movies or paying to attend a sports event. It's simply entertainment. Well, the rush of entertainment that a person experiences in gambling, like pornography, comes from the rush of the underlying notion that we can enjoy this blessing on our own terms without the sacrifices and patience that God requires for gaining it. In the same way that we should avoid pornography at all costs, knowing the damage it has on our view towards sex, the same is true of gambling. Paul writes in 1 Timothy 6:10, "For the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs." Money, like sex, is extremely dangerous if approached with a sinful mentality. Therefore, we want to avoid any kind of activity that operates with an unbiblical mentality and that could lead us down this destructive path. Now, a person may say, well, what about the stock market? Are we really working when we put money into investments? Well, first, if a person is investing properly and successful, they should put a great deal of work into research and due diligence in their investments on the front end. Secondly, in gambling, the probabilities are mathematically prearranged to give a person extremely poor odds of success. That's how casinos and lotteries profit so richly. In good investments, the probabilities carry risk, but there is a greater likelihood of success than failure. Thirdly, good investments mature over a long period of time. They require patience and commitment and deferred gratification. Gambling promises instant success, which is a lie. To close, the biblical principles call for Christians to not only abstain from participating in gambling of any sort on their own, they encourage believers to oppose gambling in the name of defending the poor and the vulnerable. Thank you.